I come to the table, I'm a supporter of Justin, because I got a chance to work with him when I was commissioner of the Big Ten Conference. He is incredibly talented. He is smart. He works hard, and he wants to be a great NFL football player. And so now he just needs to make sure that he has the support around him. He's working hard, and then I would love to see him, this offseason, make sure he's totally healthy going into the season next year. I just think every year he's going to continually get better. So I'm glad he's on the Chicago Bears.
Kevin Warren, President and CEO of the Chicago Bears, in an interview with WGN News. At face value, it means Justin Fields is staying. Some of us would say they're just trying to drive up the trade value for Justin Fields by creating the impression that they'll just keep him. You want him, we're not giving him away. We'll just keep him. So, complicated situation. Do they continue to let Fields work toward his ceiling, whatever it may be, or do they swap him out and use the first overall pick on a guy like Caleb Williams, where you just don't know what he's going to be? He's the fully and completely unscratched lottery ticket that could become the first franchise quarterback the team has had since Sid Luckman, or not. Tough call for the Bears. And again, no real clarity from what Kevin Warren had to say, but it was, again, on the surface, an endorsement of Justin Fields.
It was an endorsement of Justin Fields as a quarterback, but it wasn't an endorsement of Justin Fields being the Bears quarterback. And I'm a supporter of Justin Fields. It's not, to me, mean like this guy is going to be the quarterback for the next however many years. And, Mike, I frankly, I don't think it's that difficult a decision. You trade Justin Fields and you restart your quarterback clock with Caleb Williams, unless your research says that this guy ain't it, right? And that, whoever else that's in the first round mix, Drake May or Daniels, whoever, right? Like if any one of those guys just ain't it for you, then fine. But I mean, I don't see why you would not trade Justin Fields. I don't. And I mean, I know that not everybody thinks that way, but you restart your quarterback clock. That's the thing that makes the most sense to me in terms of building a contender.
That is one issue to consider, because Justin Fields is now eligible for a second contract. He's got one more year on his base rookie deal. You have to decide what to do with the fifth-year option. Although the fifth-year option, it's a different formula now. But, for example, the Tua Tagovailoa fifth-year option is only like 23, 24, 25 million, something like that, which is not a ridiculous price given where the market currently is. But you get Caleb Williams or whoever with the first overall pick locked in at a very decent salary relative to what veteran quarterbacks at a high level make, and you have it for at least 3 years. There is something to be said for that. But when you think about what you could do with all those picks you could get if you trade out of that spot, that's got to be tempting, because it's more opportunities to get players who will become part of the nucleus of your team moving forward. So we'll see what they do. And my concern about Justin Fields is that we really don't know how good he can be. And a point I've made in the past that I think teams need to be sensitive to, and they're not: Trey Lance. There's already pressure by making him the third overall pick. You add to it by giving up all that other stuff to get him. It puts more pressure on the kid to justify the investment. Bryce Young, all the stuff the Panthers gave up to move from 9-1 with the Bears, including dibs on the first overall pick this year. More pressure on the player. If you move on from Justin Fields, and look, you can say, hey, if you can't handle the pressure, you're never going to win Super Bowls. But regardless, it's extra pressure on Caleb Williams or whoever they draft to be as good, if not better, than Justin Fields. And there's going to be apples-to-apples comparisons. They could have kept Fields, and look at what Fields is doing with insert name of team where he ends up versus what Caleb Williams is doing. Just like the Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud comparisons from last year. It just adds to the pressure and the stress. It's different just being the first overall pick. This is first overall pick with a twist. And the twist is you're going to be relentlessly compared to Justin Fields. That's one of the things I hope the Bears at least consider.
But the inverse is true as well. I mean, if you trade that pick and somebody picks Caleb Williams and Justin Fields does not get to an elite level, then it's going to be, you could have had Caleb Williams. You had the number 1 overall pick. Why didn't you do that? So, I mean, I understand what it is that you're saying there, but Caleb Williams is already going to be the number 1 overall pick, most likely, right? This is somebody who has been dealing with a lot of different pressure, whether it was at Oklahoma, where he started excelling, and then follows Lincoln Riley out here to Southern California and USC, and then wins the Heisman. Right. So, and that's not the same as NFL pressure. I understand that. And, you could argue that in some ways he didn't necessarily handle the pressure all that well this last year in 2023. But also a lot of that had to do with USC's bad defense. So, I mean, I get it. And that's why I'm saying, like, you have to do your research on the makeup of the player, because it's not just about what he can do physically, and it's not just about what the fit is with the offense. It's also who they are as a person, and are they capable of leading a franchise? That's the research that the Bears have to be able to do, and they have to come to a conclusion on it. And if they say that that guy's not it, then okay, fine. But if they come to the conclusion that he is, then he's going to be able to handle whatever it is that he's going to be compared to Justin Fields, because those two guys are going to be compared no matter what. And so is Drake May, for that matter.
The reality is that drafting a quarterback with the first overall pick in the draft is hardly a guarantee that you will be hoisting a Lombardi trophy. I'm looking back at the quarterbacks previously taken number 1 overall. Most recently, Bryce Young, we talked about that. Trevor Lawrence 2 years before that. Who knows where the Jaguars currently are. Joe Burrow, pretty good when he's healthy, pretty damn good, almost had a Super Bowl win, and a guy that has proven he's one of the few that can contend with Patrick Mahomes. Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Andrew Luck, who was on track for a good career before he retired, Cam Newton, Sam Bradford, Matthew Stafford, Jamarcus Russell, Alex Smith, Eli Manning, who won a couple of Super Bowls, David Carr. Next question, Michael Vick, Tim Couch. Next question, Peyton Manning, who ultimately won one Super Bowl with the Colts before getting a second one with the Broncos. Before that, Drew Bledsoe, Troy Aikman, Vinny Testaverde, John Elway. He did all right for the Broncos after he didn't want to go to the Colts. And then, you know what? Before John Elway, the only quarterback taken first overall was 8 years earlier with Steve Bartkowski. It just shows you how the game has changed. Mm-hmm. Now it's pass, quarterback driven. The idea that the NFL went 8 years, and that was the first time I was ever aware of the draft. I saw the name Steve Bartkowski, the number 1 overall pick in the draft, the Atlanta Falcons. First client of Lee Steinberg in 1975. What a big deal that was. 8 years went by before a quarterback was the number 1 overall pick. So, bottom line is, it doesn't mean you're going to go back to back to back in Super Bowls. It doesn't even mean you're going to win one. It doesn't mean you're even going to get to one. 10th overall pick from 2017, doing pretty well as one of the best ever. Pick 199, we all know about him. And then you got pick 256 or whatever Brock Purdy was floating around out there, 262 I think it was, who has the potential to be pretty good. So let's not get so caught up in what that first overall pick means, because even if it is a generational guy, we've looked back at the past 2 or 3 generations. It's not like there's a bunch of quarterbacks that went number 1 that have transformed their teams. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.